Leetcode problem 1538. Guess the majority in a hidden array. So we are giving this kind of a nums array, but actually this is not given because this is just an API. So from the API, we can get such kind of array. For example, we can get the nums like 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. And we want to return any index of the most frequent value in nums. So inside of this nums, the most frequent value is 1. So we can return any index. So for example, index 2 or index 4, 6, 7, 5. So all of them should be okay. Yeah, because all those indexes are going to be the most frequent element, which is 1. Yeah. So this is the basic meaning of the problem. Yeah. So now let's just see some details. Because we are giving this kind of API, array reader, so let's just try to understand what is this API, what is the meaning of this reader. Yeah. So we have an integer array nums, so where all the integer in nums are 0 and 1. So this makes the problem maybe a little bit easier according to the question. So inside of the array, it's going to be 0 and 1, 0 and 1. Yeah. So that's going to be all the elements. And for this query, yeah. Inside of the class function, we're going to have this query, and for the query, and we're going to query 4 values at the same time, and those 4 values are going to be a more than equal to 0, less than b, less than c, less than d, and less than the length of the array. Yeah, because we can call this length to get the length of the array, so which is yeah. Now we're going to have 3 different kind of a return. So if the value of the 4 elements are the same, yeah. So for example, if the 4 elements are same, 0, 0, 0, or 1, 1, 1, 1, definitely we're going to return a 4. If 3 elements are same, for example, 0, 0, 1, so we're going to return a 2. If 2 elements are same, 0, 0, 1, 1, like this case, so we're going to return a 0. Yeah. And according to this length, we can get the length of the array, and we are allowed to call query at least 2 times n times. Yeah. So this is also important. Yeah. Now we're going to return any index, which is going to be the most frequent value inside of the nums. Otherwise, we're going to return a negative 1. Yeah. So this is the meaning of the problem. Actually, it is quite confusing and it is quite boring for such kind of problem because there's a lot of descriptions. Up to now, we have no idea of how to solve it. So let's just try some easy examples, maybe. So yeah, so definitely this problem we didn't get anything from this information. Yeah, definitely. But for the API, we're gonna have a query, and the query gonna be 4 numbers. Yeah. So now let's just try to use a query. So what about the query 0, 0, 0, 0? So what's gonna be the final result? Yeah. So according to the question, it's gonna be 4, right? So this is gonna be 4. So what about the query 1, 0, 0, 0? Yeah, so what's going to be the result? So the result is going to be 2. Yeah, so how can we make 2 queries with the same result? So for example, the first query is 4. How can we make the second query equal to 4 as well? Definitely we're going to have like 4 ones or 4 zeros. So what if we just set the first value to be a 0? So now the second query is going to be 4 as well. Yeah. So now the problem becomes, so what if we just fix the last 3 index? So for example, so for the last 3 index, sorry, let me just make the query better. Yeah, because this is definitely not right. Because inside of the query, A should less than B, less than C, less than D. So let me just correct it. So the first query is gonna be like 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Now, what about the second query? So if we were to make the same result, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So now the first query also equal to the second query because they are exactly the same. Yeah. Now, what if we just use some other values? So for example, we're going to use 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So if we fix the index like 2, 3, 4 for the first query, and for the second query we're gonna fix as 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And now for the first query, the first position is gonna be 0. For the second query, the first position we're gonna set it as a 1. Yeah. So why this is important? Yeah, because now we can compare with the first query with the second query. So Q1 gonna compare with Q2. So if they are equal, what's gonna happen is it means the first placing, the value of the first placing equal to the value of the second placing inside of the nums. Yeah. So if it is 1, so in the second placing index 1, it is also 1. So if it is 0 in the second placing, it is also 0. Yeah, so this is very important for us to understand how to solve the problem. So if we fix the last 3 indexes, yeah, so 2, 3, 4 is fixed, 2, 3, 4 is fixed. Yeah. Now we're going to compare the first index. Yeah. If the value is the same, so for example, the value is 4, the value is 4 as well. So this means the value for nums 0 and nums 1 going to be the same. Yeah, but how can we check that? So for example, for index 2, 3, 4, because the final result is 4, so definitely it can be 4, 0 or 4. Let's just imagine it's going to be 4 zeros. So if the last 2, 3, 4 going to be 0, 0, 0. So what's going to be for the first placing? Because the final result is going to be 4. So definitely it's going to be a 0, right? And similarly for this Q2. So 2, 3, 4, it is a 0. And the final result is 4. So definitely this placing is going to be a 0. So 0 equal to 0. So this means the nums 0 equals to nums 1. Yeah. And similarly, if the result is 2, it's also the same. Yeah. So if the result is 2, maybe we're going to have like 1, 1, 0. Yeah. If the result is 2, so definitely this placing is going to be a 0. And similarly for here. Yeah. For the Q2. So if the result is 2, so this means it's going to be 2, 3, 4, it's going to be 1, 1, 0. So the first placing must be a 0. Yeah, so this means 0 equal to 0. Yeah, they must be equal. Yeah, if they are not equal, it means Q1 should not equal to Q2. So for example, 1, 1, 0. So this placing, the first placing is going to be a 1. So 1, 1, 1, 0. So the final result is going to be 2. But here, 2, 0, 2, 1, the final result is going to be 0. Definitely 0 not equal to 2. Yeah. So according to such kind of calculation, definitely we know that we're going to compare with, yeah, let me just remove all those areas. We're going to compare with 4 indexes. We're going to keep the position of the first index. So we're going to use index 0. Yeah, we're going to use index 0, and then we're going to choose some other indexes. For example, 2, 3, 4 here. And then here we're going to try 1 by 1. So for example, we're going to try maybe 1 and 2, 3, 4. So 2, 3, 4 is fixed. So we want to check if Q1 equals to Q2. If they are equal, so definitely it means nums 0 equals to nums 1. Otherwise, nums 0 not equal to nums 1. Yeah. So this is for comparing the index 0 with the index 1. So nums 0 with index 1. So how about we compare nums 0 with index 2? So it's just the same idea. Yeah. So for here, we're going to compare with index 2. Yeah. Now, what kind of index we're going to choose? Definitely we cannot choose 0 and 2 because it is inside of the first position. Yeah. So this means we're going to choose like 1, 3, and 4. So similarly here, we can also choose 1, 3, and yeah, 1, 3, and 4. Yeah, because definitely we're going to choose an index which is not equal to 0 and not equal to 2. So what left behind is going to be 1, 3, and 4. Yeah, because the query should be sorted. So here 0, 1, 3, 4 it is okay, but for here for the second for Q2 it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, now we're going to continue compare with Q1 and Q2. Yeah, this is not right. Let me just try to figure out why I did it wrong. Yeah, so for the second case, if this is a 0, index 0, and we're going to compare with index 2, so for here, we're gonna try something else. Maybe we're gonna try just 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, and here also the same 3, 4, and 5. So if q1 equals to q2, definitely at this position equal to this position. Maybe nums 0 is 1 and nums 2 is 1, or maybe nums 0 is 0 and nums 2 is 0. Yeah. Now let's just try to write some code to explain it. Yeah, I think this is the basic idea, and for the details we still need to understand the code. So I'm gonna define a compare function. It's gonna compare to it's gonna compare to, let me say, think about it. It's gonna compare the value of two indexes, for example nums I and nums j. Yeah. So here I gonna give a pass. Now we're gonna check the length of the array. It's gonna be the reader dot length. Yeah, so I'm gonna call the function length, and I get the length of the array, which is gonna be n. Yeah. Now I'm gonna prepare a nums array. So from the beginning, I'm gonna set it as 1 times n. Yeah, because this 1 and 0, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I just set it from the beginning. It is a 1 because I want to choose the most frequent element. The most frequent element. It doesn't mean it has to be a 1 or it has to be a 0. I just want to find the most frequent element, and then I want to get the index. Yeah, because the index is important. Because even if this 1 means 0 or 0 means 1, it doesn't matter. So I set it as a 1 from the beginning. Yeah. Now I'm gonna check the now I'm gonna check the second element. So it means for I in range 1 to n. Yeah. And I'm gonna set the nums I. Yeah. So it means for nums 1, it's gonna equal to, I'm gonna use the function of compare, and I will always compare with 0 to this index. So the index 0 gonna compare with index I. Yeah. So after setting the nums, definitely I can use a counter to check which one gonna be the most frequent element. So I'm gonna use a counter, d gonna equal to the counter nums. So finally I can return with d, for example, if 0. Yeah, I'm gonna return d0. Yeah, let me use nums. Yeah, I can return nums index 0. So if d0 is more than d1. So this means at the place 0. Yeah, so inside the nums, it means for this 0 gonna be the most frequent element, most frequent number, which is 0. So now I just need to find the index of the most frequent element. Yeah. So here it is a 0. It can be 0 or it can be it can represent 1, but it doesn't matter. Definitely we're gonna have two values. So one is 0, another is 1. Yeah. Else we're gonna check another case. So we're gonna return nums index 1. So we're gonna use the if tag. So if d1 is more than d0, else the last case we're gonna return a -1. Yeah. So this is the first tag. This is the if condition, and then this is the else condition. Else, that is another case. If this is more than that, we're gonna return this one. Otherwise, what left behind is a -1. Yeah. Now let's just go to the most difficult part. Yeah, because for here we still need to understand that we're gonna set the first index as 0, and then we just need to compare with other 3 indexes. So this is one index, this is another index, so this is I and j. We still need to compare other 3 indexes, which is not equal to I and not equal to j. Yeah, but how can we find? So here we're gonna use a k for k in range of all the elements. So if k is not equal to I and k is not equal to j, so definitely we want to put it inside let me put an answer array. Yeah, so definitely I want to put all the values inside the answer. So the answer gonna append this k. but I just need to prepare 3 values inside the answer. So this means I need to check if the length of the answers array equal to 3. I just need to break it. Yeah. Now I have other 3 values which is not equal to I and not equal to j. And now I need to prepare 4 values. It's going to be A, B, C, D. It's going to be a sorted array of answer plus the I. Yeah. Another one, let me just copy and paste. It's going to be A, B, C, D with sorted of answers plus the J. It has to be sorted because I'm going to call the query. So X is going to equal to reader dot query with A, B, C, D. Yeah. And similarly, for the second one, it's going to be Y. Yeah. So finally, I'm going to return a 1 if X equal to Y, else I'm going to return a 0. So the idea is that for this A, B, C, D, it is a sorted array. Yeah, and here it is also sorted, and this value gonna be Y. Yeah, so from my previous example, it's like this 0, 3, 4, 5. Actually, it should not be 0, 3, 4, 5. It should be, yeah. So the testing case is going to be, yeah, according to my compare function, it's going to be 0 with 1, 3, 4. Here, going to be 2 with 1, 3, 4. Yeah, because according to this I and j, I gonna equal to 0 and j equal to 2 here. Yeah, and j equal to 2, and this is j, and this is I, and I'm gonna check the k in range n. So k gonna equal to 0, it's not possible, and then 1 is possible. So I'm gonna put 1 inside, then 3 and 4. So after that, I'm gonna sort this array. So here, this one gonna be 0, 1, 3, 4, and for the second one, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. Now I'm gonna call this query. Yeah. So if they are equal, so definitely it means at the positions it must have a, yeah, it can be, if they are equal, it can be a final result, it can be 4, or it can be 2, or it can be 0, but it doesn't matter. Because at least I gonna have 3 values which gonna be exactly the same, because at places 1, 3, 4, it's gonna be 1, 3, 4 gonna be exactly the same. So for example, at places let's just say 1, 3, 4 is 0, 0, and 0. So what about at place 0? So for example, at place 0 is 0. Yeah, so this is 1, 3, 4. So now at place 2, it must be a 0 because they were to be equal. So if this is 1 at place, this is 1. Yeah. So for the second to 2 for the place, it must be 1 because they were to be equal. So now the final result is going to be 2. Yeah. So if something like 3 values are going to be 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. Yeah. So if the first value is 1, so the second value must be 1. Otherwise, they are not equal. Yeah. If it is 0, the second value has to be 0. So this is the basic idea. I'm not sure. Let me just run it. Yeah. Now as you can see, it works. Now let me just submit it to check if it can pass. Yeah, I know this problem is, the coding is quite easy, but it's really difficult to understand why we're gonna code it like that. I think here is easy. We just need to compare like 4 numbers. If 3 numbers are fixed, what about the first number? The first number should also be the same if the final result is the same. Yeah. So as you can see, now it works. Yeah, and the speed is okay. Because we just need to meet this kind of condition, the query should be 2 times n. So what about our queries? So this is a query. Actually, while we are calling this compare function, we're gonna use 2 queries. And how many queries? It's gonna be n minus 1 queries, because here it's just coming from 1 to n minus 1, and n minus 1 times 2, so it's going to be 2 times n minus 1. But we are allowed to call 2 times n times, so 2 times n minus 1 going to be less than 2n. Yeah, less than or equal than 2n. So this is why this method also works, and this is the easiest way to solve the problem. I think that's all about it. We just need to think about how we're going to compare 4 values at the same time, and how we're going to decide the final result of the nums. So actually inside the nums, if it is 1 or 0, it doesn't matter. It is just the most frequent numbers, because this 1 can be 0 or 0 can be 1. It doesn't matter. And finally, we just need to get the index. I think that's all about it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.